All right, welcome everyone. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, and welcome to Chasing Rings. It's our Super Bowl 60 pregame show, taking a shot at this. I'm Guru, your host, and with my co-host G. What's up, G?
Hey, what's happening, Guru? What's up, big dude?
And my other
Hey,
co-host, Dude. What's happening? What's happening?
happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody.
Yeah, the end of the season is finally coming, man. Happy for the game. Sad that the football season comes to an end, but we'll talk football all year round. So we'll have it covered until camp opens up again. But today we're going to do, I don't want to say a deep dive because our last episode on Thursday really kind of delved into this matchup. We gave our picks, but we're going to give our final analysis, give a summary of kind of what we talked about on our Thursday show, and kind of do a final look as we count down to tonight's matchup. Like I said, we went pretty in depth on Thursday's show with our full preview and predictions. If you missed that, please feel free to go back. We're available on all the streaming platforms. If you want to go back and listen to any of the previous episodes, but definitely check out our Thursday episode where we really were heavy on our predictions and the breakdown of this game. But today we're going to continue that analysis. Like I said, we're also going to take a quick stroll down memory lane and kind of talk about, what some of our Super Bowl memories were and talk about that. We have a few guests that are going to join us in the second half hour. We're going to get their take on the game, and we're also going to get their predictions. So you'll be with us hopefully for the next couple of hours leading off the kickoff. We'll have a little bit of fun on here. Just kick back and enjoy just a basic conversation with the guys here. So we appreciate you rocking with us. If you're on, feel free to join in the chat. Please to add your comments in the chat. We'll love your take on the game and who you're predicting. And we'd love for you to plop your favorite Super Bowl memories in there as well. So feel free. So let's go. So we've infused our show with a new segment that we call Wait What? And fellas, did you know that Mike Vrabel has a chance to really go down in history today? So 4 coaches have won rings as players and coaches, right? We have Mike Ditka, who played for the Dallas Cowboys, coached the Chicago Bears to the Super Bowl. We have Tony Dungy, who played for the Steel Curtain, Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day. He won a Super Bowl with Indianapolis as a coach. We have Tom Flores, which a lot of our younger audience may not be familiar with, but he was a player for the Chiefs and coached, I believe, the first time the Raiders moved to Los Angeles. So the Los Angeles Raiders, and they beat the Washington, at that time, Redskins in the Super Bowl. And then our newest addition to this club was Doug Peterson, who was a quarterback for Green Bay, which many of you may not know. And, of course, he led the Eagles to their first Super Bowl. So Mike Vrabel has a chance to not only join that club, but Mike Vrabel has a chance to be the first one to do it with the same team.
Wait, what?
Oh, wow.
Wait, what?
That's first ballot Hall of Fame stuff right there.
Team. I didn't even think about that leading up to this.
And you know what else? I wonder if any other coaches scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl like Vrabel did.
That's a whole nother one. But what do you have for us, G?
Well, so I'm doing background. Just curious what states in our union are represented in the Super Bowl. And there are quite a few from my home state, as you can see, North Carolina. New England has 6. And my wait, what is, one of them went to the same high school I went to, West Forsyth. That's Gerald Wilson. And then Seattle has 5 from North Carolina. And another, wait, what? One is from the Triad. The Triad area is Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point. So there are these 3 cities, and they call it the Triad. And I'm from the Triad. And so we have one from the Triad, and that's Warry. So it's kind of surprising that some people from the home team are there.
Okay. And what do you have for us, big dude?
Well, G, you mentioned the name, and it's almost like we all talked about this, but you all know how much I want to give the O-line love. Everybody calls them the big uglies. I call them the big beauties. But today, of all the Super Bowls, this is Super Bowl 60. On the Patriots offensive line, on their left side, is Will Campbell and Jared Wilson from Gerald's hometown. They are the first 2 rookies to start in the Super Bowl on the offensive line.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
That's
Yes,
wild.
sir.
Carolina representing.
That's wild.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that's it for our wait, what? Moving around the ring in news, the Hall of Fame announced its 2026 class on Thursday. And our inductees are Drew Brees, who was certainly the Saints' legendary quarterback, led the Saints to their first Super Bowl victory. I'm so jealous as a Bills fan. Roger Craig, who was part of those 80s 49ers teams that were so great that established San Francisco as one of the legendary teams in the league. We have Larry Fitzgerald, of course, some of the best hands to ever play. We have Luke Kuechly, which is a little bit of a controversial selection given some of the snubs that took place, Belichick namely, but Luke was a beast. So congratulations to him as well. And Adam Vinatieri, which the irony of it, Adam Vinatieri won 2 Super Bowls on kicks to help New England kind of get their legacy going. So I guess it's only justice that he's being inducted, at the same time that the Patriots are kind of getting ready to make their run. So congratulations to all those inductees. The other news we have before we get into it is because of the snub of Bill Belichick, that the Hall of Fame selection committee is looking at doing something a little bit different with the process in terms of who the makeup of the committee is. So we'll kind of keep our eye on that. G, you had a comment?
Yeah, was Vinatieri in New England during the 2 gates? Well, at least the first one. I don't think he was there during the second one.
I don't recall because I know he went on to Indianapolis and won a Super Bowl with them. He may have been a part of the Indianapolis team after that, but I don't know for sure.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
off the top of my head.
Well, I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to check because I'm curious.
All right, so hit us up in the chat. Let us know what you think about that Hall of Fame class. What do you think about Bill Belichick being snubbed? We talked about that pretty in depth on one of our previous shows. We certainly had an issue with that, but let us know what you think about this Hall of Fame class and Bill Belichick being snubbed. So we can't talk about the Super Bowl and we can't get ready for the Super Bowl without thinking about the different memories that we all have from the games that we've watched. And, for me, watching the Super Bowl was one of the first experiences I had just watching football with my dad back in the day. So certainly a lot of memories. Big Dude, give me 1 or 2 of your favorite Super Bowl memories.
I will say, of course, let's start off early like you did. I think when the Cowboys played the Steelers, and it looked like the Cowboys had a chance to win, and Jackie Smith dropped the infamous pass, and the announcer said, "He has got to be the sickest man in America." I always felt bad for people, but not as bad for people in sports. And of course, I am representing Super Bowl 52, the big win with the Eagles over the Patriots, 41-33. Even though Brady
nobody wants to hear the birds.
Do you want me to come up with a different one? I can.
No, I'm talking about your Super Bowl champion shirt. Don't you just rub it in on those of us without.
Okay. All right.
You got anything else, or that's the big one for you, Big Dude?
The other one is Doug Williams with a big win. First African-American quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl 1987 over the Broncos. All
right. What about you, G?
Yeah, Doug Williams, that was one of mine. So we're thinking alike, Big Dude. The other, you see my Carolina Panthers fan? And you remember Super Bowl 50?
Yes.
Cam Newton goes to pass. The ball is knocked out of his hand. He goes to jump on it, but Ward has a hand on it, and Newton pulls back. So instead of going after that ball and giving up his body, he chose to keep his body and just let the ball be taken. And
let me ask you this, G, as a Carolina fan, what was the deal? Has he ever explained why he didn't go after that ball? Like, what was the deal with that?
I'd like to know.
I just haven't. I just haven't heard it, but I'm sure he has. But here's my
That's
question: what can he say to make that okay?
well, that's what I was just about to say. There's no excuse. You're gonna say you were scared? You can't say that.
Nope. Don't. So yeah, that right there. That's the first one that popped up. Williams was second, but then there was a third one, and I know this is not the Super Bowl, but it's on the road to the Super Bowl. Do
Mhm.
you all remember the Immaculate Reception?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Franco Harris. I, I was sick when that happened. I mean, I do know that there's some controversy around it, but nevertheless, it stands as a play. Oh, I was so sick because I was really rooting for the Raiders, to
Mhm.
actually win that game. But they lost, and Pittsburgh went on to lose, so I was happy about that. And I think Miami, that was the year Miami went 18-0, if I remember correctly.
What you have against the Steelers out of curiosity?
What do I have? Here's the
What did
thing.
you have, or
At
is it
the
still
time, my
existing?
big brother, this is just a little brother following big brother. At the time, my
Hmm.
big brother was a serious Cowboy fan. And, Cowboys and Steelers, they didn't particularly care for one another. So I didn't particularly care for them because I was a Cowboy fan at the time before I truly, truly understood football
Got
and
you.
chose my
Yeah,
own team.
yeah. Back then, I felt like everybody liked either Pittsburgh or Dallas, which they were the most popular teams back then. But for me, big dude, you talked about one that I was going to mention. Certainly, Doug Williams, being the first black quarterback to start in the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, and be named MVP was huge
Yep.
one for me. That's our freshman year in college too. By the way, big dude, I watched that in the dorm lobby of Curtin Hall. For my other memory
Kurt
is,
Hall.
yep,
That's a women's hall.
you know. So, yeah. Anyways, big dude, this is live, my brother. Okay, don't put me out there. My other memory was, and this might be my favorite memory actually, is the Marcus Allen run against
Ah,
Washington. I think it was like 74 yards, end of the third quarter. They had him pinned up, and then he kind of reversed field, and then he just took off. Like I don't think I realized how fast he was at the time, but once he saw the opening, he took off, and it was a wrap, and that kind of put that Super Bowl away. So those are really my two favorite memories of
mm,
Super Bowls. So far today, as we get into the game, it looks like the weather's good. The team's headed to the stadium already. Looks like we should be in for no outside variables in terms of conditions. I don't think there's any injury updates other than I know Spillane is still questionable. He was the linebacker that we talked about for New England that we felt would be really important as a part of that
Yeah.
middle of that defense because of his veteran status. But I haven't seen a last minute update. We'll check on that right before game time starts. But the last thing I saw was that he was questionable. Other than that, Zach Charbonnet is really the only big person that we know is out of this one. I think New England has a couple of other people that are questionable, but we look pretty good on the injury front. Um, in terms of analysis, like I said, we all did a deep dive into this on Thursday. And in thinking about it since then, kind of summarize for those who weren't with us on Thursday or who didn't listen to the Thursday episode, kind of summarize what your breakdown was and if there's anything new that you thought about as you looked into this game, because I kind of find myself, I'm not going to change my pick, but feel like the time and the other things I'm hearing starting to get into my head a little bit. Because to me, this game is just too easy, to be quite honest with you. But we'll start with you, G. Just kind of summarize what your analysis was from the Thursday episode and then bring in anything new that you may have thought about since we were last on.
all right. When we talked about key matchups and stuff, I think that really kind of encapsulated kind of all of our thinking about this particular game. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I felt that scoring in this game is going to be at a premium because both teams are very, very good on defense. And so that means looking at the offensive and defensive line play and seeing who is actually being the bullies and who are getting bullied, that's going to really play into this particular game. An X factor, which leads to my X factor, is the run game. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that the run game really needs to be an integral part of the winner. And I believe New England, Joshua Farmer is out at defensive tackle. So that kind of opens up some opportunities for Seattle. Though Charbonnet is out, nevertheless, the next men up are pretty decent people. So that defensive tackle being out, it could come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, I think on the New England end, Spillane and Landry, they both had limited practice, but they should play. What I looked at this morning, they hadn't been just totally ruled out, but nevertheless, that can come into the short game as well as the run game if their injuries are limiting them in any sort of way. So that's kind of the high level thinking from my perspective with the addition of those injuries and those questionables that could likely play.
Got you. What a- what about you, big dude? Any
Uh,
additional things kind of enter your framework since our Thursday show?
Not really. I feel pretty good about the analysis that I did. One of the things I didn't notice uh, was Travion Henderson. I know you had put up the comparison. It's interesting because Travion Henderson ran for over 900 yards and looks like he had the most yards, but I think Travion Henderson may have only played and I just came to my attention today of looking over some things that I think he only had a handful of plays that he actually played in the championship.
Mhm.
And Ramondre got about 94% of the carries as a running back. So it'll be interesting to see if they split the carries. It may take something off if they do that. Maybe there was a reason they didn't do that last time, but I think for sure if they use both of them, it might be a closer game. It's just that I'm still going to go with Seattle, and I think the score I predicted was the same. I mean, I guess I will mention that at the end, but this looks like it could be a more competitive game in the first half. But again, I'm not so sure anything is changed. And when I found out for sure, at least all the stuff that I saw, that Jared Wilson from Gerald's hometown was also going to be another starting guard as a rookie, that it's going to be even more difficult now that we know we have a whole rookie left side, which could be good because they don't know anything, and that could be real good. But it's still a matter of them being able to move and know how to move during a situation like this. And I don't see a whole lot changing. And I think the thing that will hold things off is Rashid Shaheed. Something tells me he won't be in a whole lot on offense, but just enough to make a difference and to keep that threat there for an explosive play and open it up for the other folks. So I say it's pretty much the same. I think New England may play a closer game. Now, I think all the other folks and the prognosticators and analysts, I think they're starting to panic. That's the difference with me. I don't think I ought to panic. People are starting to panic and saying that Vrabel's got to win this game. He's got to win it. And well, yeah, and I think you had put on their guru that they hadn't lost any of the Super Bowls in white jerseys. I think we're beyond all that hocus pocus stuff. No. So
You bring up an interesting point with the New England running back situation. I don't know if you guys remember that Ramondre Stevenson has a history of fumble troubles.
Mhm.
And I know that it was bad last year, but I think early in the season, it may have reared its head again. And I think that's when Travion Henderson actually started to get a bulk of the carries at a point. But then I do think it, as you said, big dude, it did level off. Ramondre Stevenson hadn't turned the ball over recently. So that might be something we have to look at that we hadn't thought about before. He does have that history. So we'll keep an eye on that. For me, I know most of what we talked about on Thursday was the interior, and we, all were in agreement that it is going to come down to the trenches in terms of who's able to dominate which side of the ball and really put pressure on each other's quarterback. Who's going to be able to run the ball is going to be huge. And really, I think that might dictate at one level, dictate the game, because if New England can't run and Drake May is forced to be in a passing situation all the time, as good as Seattle's D line is, that front four, it could be a really, really long day for him. And then on the flip side, the same thing with Darnold. If you can get him flustered, I mean, he's been good this year, certainly been on a roll in the playoffs. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's only been sacked on average 2.5 times a game, so let's say 2-3 times a game. Though they, only played one less game because they had the bye week. But for the most part, he's protected the ball. He hasn't really put it in harm's way and put Seattle's offense behind the chains. But for me, this is really pretty simple. It's that O-line, protecting these QBs, running the ball. And with respect to the QBs, I mentioned on that last episode, Drake May's been sacked 15 times in the playoffs. All right, he's turned the ball over 4 times. That's something that we really need to keep our eyes on, because the narrative being pushed here is that he's been so great in the playoffs, but he has not played well at all in the playoffs. They scored 10 points against Denver. I forgot what it was against the Chargers. Was it 16 or something like that? And it was 28.
15 I think it was.
But Houston, those 28 points, if you think about all the turnovers that Houston had, a lot of those were gifted points. So the New England offense concerns me a little bit going into this game, because they have not really produced during the playoffs like they did during the regular season. And I know a lot of people, and we're going to try to be as objective as possible on here. Obviously, I'm a Bills fan, and I'm not necessarily having warm and fuzzy thoughts about the Patriots. I do want to be objective here, when I'm breaking them down. While people say that New England played this weak schedule, you can only play who's in front of you. And they did what they needed to do. They showed glimpses of being a really good offense at times. I think there's no doubt that Drake May has a bright future. But I think for me, I need to see it one more time today before I'm convinced, because this will be the stiffest test that they face. We thought that when they played Houston, for sure, Houston would take care of that business. But unfortunately, Houston's offense let them down. So we'll see what happens today if Seattle is able to be the Seattle that we've seen all year. And when we wrap this up on Thursday, we kind of all agreed on this one thing. Seattle could win a bunch of different ways. New England was probably only going to be able to beat Seattle. Not that they couldn't win other ways, but only beat Seattle playing one way. And that would even probably include Seattle having to help them out a little bit with turning the ball over and not playing characteristically Seattle football. So we'll keep an eye on that. For me, I really think this is cut and dry. The point spread has not changed, unless it changed since we got on here. It was a -4.5, favored Seattle. You guys remember what did we say the over and under was? 45.5, I believe.
Yes.
So we're not talking about, a really high scoring game, even though I think all of us picked really high scores. Some of the scores I've seen in the national media have been high 40s and 50 points. So it'll be interesting to see how this game is played. But other than that, anything else to add to the analysis of this game? At this point, I mean, we're going to come back to it a little bit later and give our picks again. But anything at this juncture that you guys want to add?
No, nothing for me.
Nada. Take that silence as a nada. All right. So what do you think? What type of surprises do you think you might see? I know we're getting ready to bring some guests onto the show, but we have about 5 minutes before they come on. Is there anything that you think could surprise us today? Something, on either team, or it could be a player that jumps out that's maybe an unknown, or somebody maybe not playing up to their abilities. You guys kind of thought about that at all?
Yeah, you know what? Dang, this big dude just mentioned the brother's name for Seattle, the primarily kick returner. What's his last name?
Right,
Shaheed.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they used him more, because he is a speedster. And if you catch New England playing off the line and giving, like 7, 8, 10-yard cushions or whatever, a quick screen pass, and then just let that speedster go, I mean, that would be a gift. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shaheed is actually used more as big dude. I know you don't think that, but I'm a
No,
contrarian when it comes to coaching, so I could actually see that.
Yeah, and we talked about him and Cooper Cup possibly being X factors for Seattle because with the matchup with Christian Gonzalez and JSN, that's going to determine, how much freedom those two have. You got to figure if all this attention is placed on JSN, then one of those two have to be open. So this is a big opportunity for one of them to make some plays. Certainly, Shaheed also has the opportunity on special teams. He returned the opening kickoff of the divisional game against San Francisco for a touchdown. So, I mean, he's certainly a threat. And as we mentioned in the last show, probably the best free agent transaction of the year. I mean, been super impactful every game since he joined Seattle. So we can't say enough about him, but that's a great point, G. I think he's somebody we really need to look out for. Anything and big dude that say that again, G?
Look for Stephen Diggs too. I think that based on his years and being so close with Buffalo, I would not be surprised he balls out.
He should have a good game. I mean, he definitely will present some problems for the Seattle secondary. I mean, he's a savvy veteran. He runs his routes well, strong hands. You know he's hungry, with all the pain and agony that he dealt with my boys. He's hungry. He's been waiting to get to this point. And, I expect him to do what he does. I definitely expect him to do what he does. But you know what I'm interested with him? And this is based on him being in Buffalo and how it ended. How is he going to react when things aren't going their way? Especially if Drake can't get him the ball or, if he's under pressure and he's getting open, but he just doesn't have enough time. I want to see if he can maintain calm because that can be very disruptive if he is not patient, let the game come to him. But I agree with you. I think he could have a monster game, but he's got to let this come to him and kind of just go with the flow of the game.
Yeah.
What about you, big dude? Any players that jump out?
Yes. Hunter Henry, is especially, I would say vertical. This will be, I think, the first time that Drake may try to go vertical, but I think he's going to try to do it methodically with Hunter. And I think more so, Hunter Henry actually has 7 touchdowns this year. So you got to figure at some point, I think Seattle, and I think you mentioned some things, Guru, you talked about different DBs that might be on, like Witherspoon. I think you said you slapped Witherspoon on the edge. I think the last thing that we saw. The interesting thing is going to be how the rookie, now we're speaking of rookies from Seattle, Amari, number 3, how he ends up playing Hunter Henry as well as coming up for the run. I think number 3, while he makes big plays all year, the question is how is he going to react to Henry running that slot and running that seam. And then, of course, the last one, I would say, adding on the Seahawks tight end, A.J. Barner, who does not get the ball much. A lot of times, this is the time where you get the ball, especially in the red zone. I would say everybody is going to lock down on a running backs. Kenneth Walker III. They're going to lock down on all the wideouts on quick passes. I think that everyone will forget about Barner. Getting him the ball, especially inside the 15-yard line, he may be able to make the catch that he hasn't made all year. So I think that would be the difference, that there's a lot of star power on Seattle, a lot of star power in some ways also on the Patriots. However, I would say Barner is the one with the least star power that can make the biggest play.
Funny story about Emanwari, and I hope we're saying his name right. His mom, he's from Nigeria, and they showed his mom arriving to come to the game, and they were asking her about it. And she's like, well, I'm not sure if there's supposed to be this big thing, but I'm not really sure what it is. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. I guess it's this big thing. So it was pretty funny. And, I was thinking about how, football for other countries is not as big and it's defined differently for them. It's soccer to us. But so I thought that was pretty funny that she has no idea what she's even here for or the magnitude of what she's about to witness. But it looks like our guests are starting to enter. So I'm going to add them to the chat. We still have a couple, so we'll get ready to get into our Friends of the Show segment. Junior, what's up, my friend?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Hey,
everybody doing
what's
well?
up, man? Hey, Junior, this is G, big dude. This is my guy, Junior.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's happening? Glad to have you here.
Hey,
Thank you. Happy to be
how
on.
you doing?
Right,
Awesome.
adding Big Charles to the stage. What's up, Charles?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Man? You
What's
already know Big Dude, but
Yeah.
there's G, my other co-host, and then Junior, my boy.
What's going on?
Junior.
No
Nice to
much.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Well,
Yeah, nice to
meet
meet you.
We're just waiting for two more people to come in. But where are you guys watching the games today? Super Bowl parties, home? What's the plan?
I'm at home. I've got. I can't go far. I've got a soon-to-be 2-year-old. So I'm on.
Yeah, you ain't going nowhere.
Nope,
What about you, Junior?
I'm at home. Chilling, nice
You're at
and
home?
easy. I already started early, ate some wings. I'm ready to go.
That's what's up. Hey, Noah, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Good. Everybody, this is Noah. We got Big Dude, we got G, we got Charles, and we got Junior. You know Junior, so.
Absolutely. Good to be on with you guys.
What's going on?
Where
Noah?
are you watching the game today, man? Home or
Home.
You going to the Bills guys' house?
No, keeping it simple. Keeping it simple.
simple.
Home, eating well, few drinks. I just read next year is this Super Bowl is the day before President's Day, which is perfect.
Yeah,
Need an extra day.
I shouldn't have to take an extra day to go to the Buffalo Super Bowl parade then.
Yeah, I'll be right there with you.
All right, we're waiting on one more person to come on, but I'm going to get into the segment so we can keep everything pushing. So, fellas, off the bat, think about your favorite Super Bowl memory. All right, your favorite Super Bowl memory. Noah, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me. What's your favorite Super Bowl memory?
I mean, this is torture. I'm a Jets fan. I'm never going to see my team in the Super Bowl. I've accepted it. So now you're asking me to bring out a memory. Like, this is just wrong.
What was it, Super Bowl -3? Was that the one they were in?
I wasn't even, -9, I think, -8. My favorite memory is, I don't even know if it's a game. I think it's one of my first Super Bowl memories, and it wasn't even the game. It was the Super Bowl shuffle. I mean, the game was great because the Patriots lost. So
here we go.
I'll take 86.
Here
take
we go.
2008. I'll take 2012. Just give me another Patriots loss. I'll keep stacking them as my favorite memories.
Noah, do you remember Noah, do you remember
Here we
the New England theme song they had? Because they had something counter to the
Yes.
Super Bowl shuffle. New England, the Patriots and me song.
What was unbelievable is the Bears were like, this isn't even a real game. We're going to spend the week preparing a song instead of practicing and prepping for the game. And then they went out and won 46-10 because it wasn't a game.
Shit, they were so dominant. They could do that. They could make a music video. They were so dominant.
Was
So
that the
dominant.
start of the rest of the start of the songs? Because then the Rams had one, the Eagles had one.
The Eagles had one,
The
yep.
Buddies watching you.
Yep.
It's,
All right, so Charles, what about you? What's your favorite Super Bowl memory?
My favorite Super Bowl memory would have to be Super Bowl 28, and it's for personal reasons. It's one because Dallas had won their second straight Super Bowl of the Jimmy Johnson era. And for that one, I was a student at University of Memphis running track, and I just got back. Got back from the meet the day before. Mm-hmm. So spent that. Little did I know, I picked up food poisoning from the meet. So the minute that game ended, I ended up was just done for the night, and I had to get back to campus and still do my workout at the class. And I was just like, "Hey, the Cowboys won, but I'm in no shape to party for this.
Yeah, and boys and girls out there, it's true. Dallas really did win a Super Bowl before. They really were. They really were a great team before.
That was the beginning of the end. That was the start of just Rome burning again.
That was a long time ago.
Since the guy who's lost 4 in a row, and whatever. Junior, what's your favorite Super Bowl memory?
Well, I think there's so many, and Noah, thank you for bringing that up. And I knew Noah was going to come on the show.
Here we go. Here we go.
Immediately starting talking trash about New England. I knew that was going to happen. But whatever. He's a Jets fan, so we'll leave that alone. But I think there's so many. But I want to keep it current, and I want to go back to when we played the Seahawks last time and what happened in that game, where that should have been a Seahawks win had they just handed the ball off. And the decision to make that pass and that unbelievable. That was one of the greatest wins we've taken outside of many Super Bowls we've won, Noah. But we'll take that one.
Be modest, Be modest, Junior. It's okay.
I know, Junior. My heart was going out to you, Patriot fans. It's been so long since you've been here. I feel for you guys. God, the torture that you guys have endured for all these years.
I would have paid money to see Marshawn Lynch laughing Pete Carroll's face after that play. I would have loved to see the camera just crying when he just laughed in. Why did you do that?
I just think that everybody in New England we still don't understand why that happened. You have the best running back. Just hand the ball off, you win the Super Bowl, and they go pass. That is crazy. That's just crazy.
So let me ask you this, because I don't think I've ever asked you or any other Patriots fan this. Right before that play, like, what's going on with your emotions? You're thinking, damn, we just lost, I would imagine.
I'm going to say right now, I was ready to shut off the TV. I'm like, this is over. We lost it. We came this far for nothing. And then that was just like, I think everybody in New England Nation, Patriot Nation, was shocked. We were just shocked. You have the most dominant running back. You don't hand the ball and you decide to make that's just stupid.
I don't think I've ever been that mad about a game that didn't involve my team.
Who made the catch? There was a catch. Before that play, someone from the Seahawks made a hell of a catch because the ball bounced off and he managed to catch the ball off the ground. Right before that, throwing the interception, there was a pass that the Seahawks got tipped. He managed to get possession of it, and that got him inside into the red zone.
Yeah, that's what got him down there. And that dude had had they won, he might have been the MVP. I don't remember his name, but remember, he had some big catches there. No. And I don't think at the time anybody even knew who he was.
But that's crazy.
Q, what's up, Q?
What's up, fellas?
Welcome to Chasing Rings, man. Big dude. We got G in the house.
What's up,
boy Junior? Noah, Charles.
All right, fellas.
What you got? I saw that green and thought you had on Eagles too, man. Don't do that to us, man.
Listen, I converted over for a little bit, but I'm still a Bronco at heart, man.
Okay. I can give it that. So good timing, man. What's your favorite Super Bowl memory?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a musician, so my favorite Super Bowl was the Michael Jackson halftime show.
That's okay. That counts.
You know what I'm saying? But I remember when Mark Rippon, this is back in the 90s. Mark Rippon threw that, what was it, a 70-something yard touchdown to open up the Super Bowl. Am I correct?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like I done hurt somebody's feelings already. I made somebody.
I don't remember that. Who's Mark Rippon?
Well, the fact that the part that makes it even more damning is the fact that you had Thurman Thomas couldn't be in the first series because somebody from what's his name, Harry Connick Jr. took the helmet and moved it. I think Bill Polian is still upset today about that.
Okay, let's not really dwell on any Buffalo Super Bowls today. This day's hard enough for me as it is. No, I'm good. I can take. I mean, shoot, I'm a Bills fan. Of course, I can take it, right? I have pretty big skin to do that.
Would you rather your team make it and lose, or never make it, and you know they're never going to make it? What would you rather?
It's funny that you do say that, Noah. So, as much as I want my team to get to the Super Bowl, obviously, I do not think I would sleep for 2 weeks. I would be an absolute nervous wreck because I would be so fearful of losing the fifth one. Because how would I even come outside?
It's just,
So my
Okay.
question is, Walt, you said you're a Bills fan, correct?
Here we go. Yep, I am.
So my question is, Josh Allen balls out, man. Like, so what's it going to take to get him over that hump? You know what I'm saying? Because he just hits that wall every year at the same time. Second round, first round, he always hits that wall.
So we have a little thing in my little clique where we got Sugar High Josh and then Josh. So we need to do something. Don't feed him sugar before games because he starts thinking he can do things that he shouldn't be doing. And that's part of the problem. No, I think in all seriousness, I think that he feels so much weight, especially when the defense gives up so much, that every time he's got the ball that he's got to score. And I'm not making any excuse. I think that's a big part of it. But it's that gunslinger Brett Favre mentality, right? You know, you're gonna lose a lot of them, and for us, it seems like we're losing a lot more gunfights than he's winning.
Right.
So, but good question, though. Nothing else about the Bills, please.
Q, I got a question for you. You mentioned the Michael Jackson concert.
Oh,
was that the first concert? Was that the concert after Living Color had already taken like 2 Super Bowl halftime shows away from the NFL? Because that I think people should thank the Living Color show because that kind of made the NFL step up their game for shows.
Yeah. I agree with you. Hold on. I got my son with me, Maxwell.
I saw something about that today too. That people forget that the NFL was having a real problem at the time with viewership, and that Living Color really elevated this whole Super Bowl halftime show thing that we have today. So people forget about that.
Yeah.
Play with you.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into this, man. We have some stuff that we want to ask you guys, and we certainly can't wait to see what your take on this game is and who you're picking. But Noah, I'm gonna start off with you, man, because we're feeling the same pain right now. As a Jets fan, how does it feel to see these bastards? No, let me finish. Let me finish. These bastards, New England, are back on top of the division and are on the verge of winning another championship. And I know you got different problems from me. I do know that. I know that. But how do you feel about these dudes being on the edge of another chip?
It's culture. I mean, had Mike Vrabel gotten the Jets job, they'd be terrible. It's not Mike Vrabel. It's culture. So I think anybody with the Jets, Drake May had gone to the Jets, he would have been terrible. It's just who they are. So how do I feel? I feel when you have a well-run team, I hate it. I mean, look, it's the Patriots fans act like it's been so long. They don't know. And none of them existed before Brady. Now, then they all jumped on board. Find me one who knows Tony Eason.
We suffered for a long time, Noah. We did.
Stop it.
We suffered for a long time before Brady.
Who were on the bandwagon before?
God, here we go.
Stop it. They had a team before?
We sucked for a long time. We sucked before Brady for a long time. I mean, we had some stuff, right? We had a good quarterback for a little bit, but it wasn't always.
You guys were good when I was a kid.
Yeah, Drew Bledsoe.
I mean, Jim
That's
what I'm saying. We had some players, but not to the level of what moving forward that organization became with Brady and with Belichick. That was a whole different strategy.
MVP.
Mo Lewis.
Mo Lewis should be the Patriots MVP.
You got that right. He started the whole dynasty. He started the whole dynasty. So Junior, so how you feeling, man? After the 2 years away from the Super Bowl, how were you feeling to
Sorry for anybody who's not a Patriots fan. So I mean, it was a long time coming, but I think it's I'm going to equate this to like right. I'm also a Yankees fan. And so we have just been suffering for a while now because we're not spending the money on the right people and whatnot. And so I think for us, it's just sheer elation, like to be back to this so quickly, because I realistically believe we are at least another maybe 1 to 2 years away. But I think in making some of the right acquisitions, some of the right players, and the culture that Vrabel brought with him, from Tennessee, and just who he is as a person and how he runs his practices. I mean, it's no nonsense, but he still gives the guys freedom to just ball out. I think for us, it's just we're ecstatic to be back. I mean, and you can see the improvement game after game after game this season. So to be here, I mean, I think some things definitely, I would say the ball bounced the right way for us, I guess, if that's the term that I want to use, because that last game, I mean, that was a massive defensive standout. I mean, our defense was just, they played out of their minds, and it could have gone, and I'm going to say this, it could have gone either way in Denver. I really do believe it could have gone either way.
And don't forget, Matt Jones had you guys in the playoffs too, his last year in New England. So not a lot of losing for you guys there, Junior.
No, it's not. It's not. But I think, you know what it is? I think it's what Noah, I agree with Noah. I think good organizations that have good culture, right? There has to be a couple of things that make you stand out, but it's also some of the luck, right? Because you have to get key personnel in, and everybody has to be on the same page. And I think that it's just sometimes it is luck. It's not necessarily that you do everything right. But I think we have, from top to bottom, everyone in the organization is in sync again, and that helps.
And that's what you've been saying, G, throughout the playoffs. G, you've been saying a little bit of luck comes with this thing, right? And that probably applies to all sports.
Better be luckier than good.
That's right. That's right. Ask Villanova. Sure. I'm a Georgetown fan, by the way. Big dude, I'll turn it over to you, man.
Okay. And my questions are for Charles and Q. Now, you look at the Patriots. Patriots had quite a turnaround, from 4 games this year to where they are now. I mean, Vrabel, we know, is a good coach. We've seen what Vrabel could do as a player, and he's done so as a coach. And let me start with Charles. Are you surprised at this turnaround for them, kind of getting to the doorstep of another championship so fast? He inherited a team that wasn't so great, but then all of a sudden he's at the doorstep playing a lot of rookies. Are you surprised at this
I'm not
turnaround
surprised.
with Vrabel at the helm?
Sorry. I'm not surprised. I think I'm more impressed by how fortunate they were. And you look at, I think Junior mentioned about the culture. And one of the things about culture, the Patriots have been very good about, very savvy, something I wish the Cowboys had, in how they built their front office staff. And to be able to make that decision after Gerard Mayo's pretty much had an unsuccessful season, they decided to pivot and move him on, bring in Mike Vrabel, spent $209 million on free agency, 6 players I think they brought in from draft that are now, I think, who are starting. I think a lot of it has been just luck about how they've been able to make this work. I mean, they had the fact that timing is very fortunate that this year they had one of the easiest schedules. I think overall, I think in the history, they're one of the 5th, and they'll be like the 4th team that make the Super Bowl. I mean, they're putting now with the Miami Dolphins when they went undefeated, Cowboys when they won their first Super Bowl, the 99 Rams. So they're in a kind of a locked in place to have everything go. Plus for the playoffs to have you face a Los Angeles Chargers team's offensive line that's banged up. Then you face the Houston Texans, who all 3 teams had great dominant defenses. The Chargers, who had basically their offensive line was trash and ended up nothing could be done there. Then you have Houston Texans, which their defense kept them in the game, but then your quarterback, who has regressed over the last 2 years, just gave the game back to New England. And then you end up playing Denver in snow, and basically you're going against Jared Stidham. I think the minute my man listed the last time the backup started, and I think it was the Cowboys losing to the Washington R's in their in 72. That kind of told the game, like, okay, there's no way Denver's winning this game. And sure enough, Denver didn't win. So I'm not surprised. I think it's more fortunate. Everything is lined up. I kind of equate it to spades. They got every high hand. They've got every face card, the big joker and little joker, and they've been playing it this whole season. And I think one of the things I also realized that research I looked up, they had of the season, I think half the coaches were either fired or new coaches. So they just had the stars aligned perfectly for this.
Got you. And he's the coach of the year. And Q, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, to go from 4 wins, and you played a little football. By the way, he's one of the top 30 Russian running backs in South Jersey all time.
What's up? That's what's up.
How important is it to have a coach to turn things around? What do you think about Vrabel? He got coach of the year, and Charles mentioned it takes a little luck. It takes some draft choices. It takes free agency. Well, I mean, how do you turn a team around in that type of time?
Well, a couple things. You get a group of people that buy into the system. You know what I'm saying? And, you get people that believe that they can win. Because it's got to start inside the clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? And you put the right people in the right position to go ahead out and win some football games. And I think that's what happened. That's what's happening in New England. Like my man said, the culture of New England. I mean, it's a winning culture. And when you got guys that are putting their lives out and putting everything out on the line, that and not just for the for the ball club, but for their families, man. They want to win. They want to win just for for the overall sake of for themselves. You understand what I'm saying? But then on the flip side, I'm kind of a little salty a little bit because, like I said, at first I am a Broncos fan, and and we don't lose our quarterback, so we're singing to a different beat right now. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to New England for getting to where they are. You know what I mean? They like I said, they put the right people in the right spot. They got the right coach of the year, man. He done an excellent job to go ahead and put these boys in the position to go ahead and win the Super Bowl. You understand? But shout out to the New England Patriots, and hopefully next year, my Broncos will get back on track and pick up where we left off. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of culture, both you and Charles Q mentioned culture and putting people in the right places. That sounds like it's a lot of coaching. So we'll take a look at Seattle. I mean, Mike McDonald has only been in Seattle for 2 years. They've always had a solid team, but to be at this level and to be this dominant on defense, is Mike McDonald getting enough credit for as well as Seattle is doing?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know Seattle was as strong as they were until I seen them against the was it the Chargers? They won that second round against the Chargers. I didn't realize that they were that tough. You know what I'm saying? I heard about them in spurts throughout the season, but that was the first time I actually had sat down and really, really watched them play. Them jokers was playing some football. You know what I'm saying? They got a tough task up against them tonight. So we'll see how good the coaches really are. We'll see how good the players really are. We'll see how good the system really is. We'll see how all that.
And I think you right. I think you meant even the Rams. I think that's who you meant.
Was it
Chargers on the other one? But you said
who did they play?
You saw them.
San Francisco, probably San Francisco.
Yeah.
Is what you're thinking.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And Charles, how about you? Like I said, I wish we even had more time to go into some other areas. But Charles, what do you think about Mike McDonald and all they've accomplished? They've got some fine people on their sideline as well. Is he getting enough credit?
I don't think he's getting the credit. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think he'll get the credit he deserved. But what he's done, I think first season went 10-7, and the fact that he has brought his players, the fact that the players feel that they are able to voice what the direction where they want this team to go, and they're also taking accountability. The fact that they're back to the same level as it was at the Legion of Boom, and that it's going to be he's in that same mold of a defensive-minded coach. Right? Sometimes I think it's kind of got overshadowed with Vrabel and the rest, but he definitely has got that team in the right position, and that I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win this game. but their defense is definitely going to keep them in it. Definitely, the coach has made a difference.
Alrighty, and coaches made a difference. So
And
hopefully we hear more, especially with Clint Kubiak leaving.
I feel like the Seahawks quarterback was it Darnold?
Junior
Yep.
Cuz.
I feel like he's putting on an excellent performance. He's been doing well.
I mean, the last 4 games before the playoffs, he kind of hit a rough patch, but the playoffs, especially the game against Seattle, he really played one of his better games. And definitely at that last game when Los Angeles really started blitzing him, I think he really was able to stand in the pocket and deliver those key throws to get them in position to take the lead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, G, the floor is yours.
All right, I have a question for Noah, then for Junior. So Noah, I want to go back to Darnold, and he doesn't have his top running back Charbonnet. He's nursing that oblique injury.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your experiences with him, do you think he continues this play? Think he continues to play off Darnold, or do you think these two or something else may make him revert back to the Darnold we knew?
Seeing ghosts, huh?
Was he a Jet?
I am,
Was he
but
a
I
Jet?
want to get it from an expert.
Seeing ghosts. That's the Darnold. I honestly, I couldn't be happier for the guy. Look, if you endure any time with the Jets, you deserve success wherever else you go. I'll root for Justin Fields moving forward. I thought he was going to be the answer, right? But the fact is, Darnold's only 28. Do I have concerns? He's going to throw a few key picks tonight. I do. As much as I joke about what my feelings on the Patriots, they're phenomenally coached. The culture is impressive. The thing about they think they're going to win, and when you actually believe you're going to win, it makes a world of difference. I'm hoping Darnold keeps it together for one more. I would love to see him win. And again, he's 28. This guy should have another 10 to 12, 15 years in the league. And if this is who he is, I'm thrilled for him. Kenneth Walker is still, but he can be fragile. So I'm, Kenneth Walker, I think Darnold finds A.J. Barner for a touchdown tonight. If someone was looking at placing a little wager, that's my little, I would say A.J. Barner is going to find the end zone. I'm hoping he holds it together for one more, but everyone always in the back of their mind is waiting for the Darnold 2 interception, one in a critical time. Junior, you're waiting for Malcolm Butler to be revisited and jump that one again.
I love it.
It
should be a great game. But
so what's the difference between the Jets organization and coaching then and Seattle organization and coaching now for Darnold? What do you think?
It's not a coaching. It's an ownership thing. It's a Woody Johnson up top thing. This starts from the top down, and the culture with the Jets. No one believes anyone's coming to the Jets and going to do well. I would love for him. I was hoping he would get an ambassador anywhere. Just go anywhere. I mean,
that is harsh.
I honestly, it's every year. I'm like, every year Jets fans convince themselves. We convinced ourselves Justin Fields was the answer. Now this coming year, everyone's like, there's no chance. And Woody's meddling again. It comes top down. It's why, Kraft builds winners.
True.
It's when you are hands off. Look, Charles, you're Cowboys. When you are an over meddling owner, when I know too much about you, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's been our downfall because Jerry was arrogant. He thought I can get any person to coach this team, and we watched him. And the documentary just showed that he has meddled with this team. He is like George Steinbrenner, Roman Abramovich of Chelsea, where they have just meddled the team into the ground. Yeah. And to where no coach really wants to touch it because they know that they've got a heavy-handed owner.
The same with the Jets. Right now, you got to pay a loser's tax to get anyone to play here. It's bad enough you're in New York, so you're paying a ton in taxes if you play here to begin with, or New Jersey. Now you got to pay the extra money because everyone knows why do I want to play there. I mean, to that point, G, I'm not a Seahawks fan. I know plenty. Can anyone tell me who the owner of the Seahawks is?
It's
Isn't it
what's his name?
Allen's
Is it
daughter,
Allen?
right?
It's Alan's daughter. Alan
It's
Pawn
Alan's
passed
daughter
away.
now.
Yeah.
We
It's
win
not-
a free pizza for that.
Well, the thing is, if I said to you as the Cowboys owner, everyone will tell me Jerry Jones. If I know your owner, it's almost worse. I mean, Kraft has done a great job, Mara, but it starts with the top.
Yeah.
Aren't they
So
selling the
that
Seahawks?
makes total sense. And I think we can look around the league and see the most consistently successful teams have really good ownership, one, but also have really good general management as well. I think that's probably consistent.
I'm sorry. It's Jody Allen. It's Paul Allen's sister that owns the club.
It's
That
his
owns the
sister.
Oh, it's
team.
the sister.
Okay,
And
thank
his
you.
sister. And I think they said they make an announcement that they're going to sell the team after
They
the
did.
season.
Yep, they did. Yep.
They did.
Smart.
Speaking of selling teams, and I hope that the New England is sold to some crappy owner because I hate them. But
I won't take that personal. I won't take it personally.
I say that with all disrespect that I can much. I'm joking.
The time was to go back and get Victor Kiam when Victor Kiam sold it to Robert Kraft. That was the time to get anyone but him.
Imagine being in the division with him, G.
Oh God.
That is funny.
It's just success hate because I'm a Carolina fan, so don't take me seriously. But here's a serious question for you, and it's something we talked about. Big Dude and Guru and I talked about. How fair is the expectation, or even the thinking, that Vrabel and May are the next Belichick and Brady?
I mean, I'm going to say that yes, that has been tossed around in New England, but I think we have to start winning some championships first before I think we go down that road. And look, it's amazing that they're here, right? I still think it's going to be one hell of a game. I think, right, a team that shows up in the Super Bowl is not just going to show up to lay down for the New England Patriots. I mean, they've got athletes everywhere on the other side of the ball. We've got some guys, right, in positions where we need to, like Campbell, right? We need to protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But our QB and our coach, the next great, maybe if we win 1, 2, 3 down the road, then we could really say that. But right now, I don't want to anoint them yet as a second coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to see if there's proof in that pudding where they can win this championship, and then let's see what next year brings. But I think it starts with this game, and if we can win, then yeah, maybe there's a conversation about that they could be the next dynamic duo. But I think, like we've been talking about, every piece has to fall into place, right? Your ownership has to bring in the key free agents. You have to bring in players that fit your scheme. You have to bring in players that really are going to be a part of buying into that culture. Because, right, it doesn't matter, any organization, there are tremendously talented players in the NFL. But if you bring them into an organization with the horrible mindset that isn't the right mindset, that it's and right, I love that saying from the coach at Minnesota, PJ Fleck. We all got to row in the boat, right? Get in the boat and row in the boat. And I think that for every organization, you have to have from top to bottom, from the owner all the way down to the maintainer that's working in your building and cleaning your building, you all have to have that same mentality. And I think that that's something that's worked well for New England, because people in New England bleed for this team. The people that work in that facility bleed for the team. I mean, they live it. They talk it every day. They take the losses like somebody died in their family, and they take the wins and celebrate them as well. So I'd like to see a championship first, and then let's see what next season brings before I start saying it's the next Brady and Belichick.
And I'm assuming you're seeing a championship without luck, like blatantly involved.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry for all the people that have emotional trauma and are hurt, like the Jets fans and whatnot, and the Bills and Carolina and everybody else. I'm sorry for the emotional trauma that the Patriots have caused everyone.
Except for the Eagles, brother. Except for the Eagles.
That's true. The Eagles are a winning organization.
Eagles and Giants.
The Eagles and the Giants. NFC East, the only team that can do something with them, man.
They know how to win. They know how to win for sure.
Well, at least we made it to the Super Bowls, unlike the Jets. So.
Oh, good God, Noah.
At least recently, in recent memory, we can't go way back to the early days. That's a different era. Yeah, right.
Matt Snell.
All right, Noah, I know you have to jump off, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I don't know if I do have to run. I'm going to give my prediction. I don't know if we're doing predictions out here. Are
Yeah,
we
we can start with you real quick if you want. If you have time to do a quick analysis of the game and your prediction, or if you just want to give your prediction.
I think not telling. I think Seattle wins this one, and not just because I want them to. I do think they win. I think it's a 24-20, somewhat low scoring. I think it's hard to, both great defenses, both really well coached. I'm hoping Sam Darnold doesn't make the big mistake, and I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think Drake May is going to make that mistake. I think it's going to be whether or not Sam Darnold makes the big mistake. I'm hoping he doesn't, and we go 24-20. But thank you, guys. This was awesome. I really enjoyed being part, and everyone enjoyed the game.
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right.
coming on,
Good
man.
having you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting y'all.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.
All right, Junior. What's your take on this game? And you know what? No. You're going last because I already know who you're probably going to pick. You're going last. Q, we'll go with you next, Q. What's your analysis of this game? How you think it's going to play out? And who are you picking to win this thing?
Oh, that's Big Pop.
Yeah, it's Big Pop.
Who are you picking, Lil Q?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Seattle as well. Because
what's up, Mad Max?
Say hi, Max. I feel like Seattle's got the stronger defense, and like the man said, Darnold, if he can compete at a high level the whole way through, without having any hiccups, and giving Seattle any edge to go ahead and take over. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna go 24-21 Seattle.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Seattle because I am digging their defense though, even though I haven't seen them play much. But the little bit of time I did see them, man, I was impressed. I was highly impressed.
Yeah, they got a bunch of dogs on that side of the ball for sure.
Yeah.
Charles, what's your analysis on this? How do you see it playing out?
I'm gonna have to log off, fellas. But listen, I appreciate y'all adding me, giving me some time on your podcast.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming on. I get you back in the future, Q.
Yeah, hopefully it's the first of many. And God bless you all, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right, man. Enjoy the
care.
game. See you, Mad Max.
Take care.
Say bye, Max.
Blessed.
All right,
See you,
take care.
Max.
Bye, Max.
All right, Charles, your analysis, and who are you picking, my friend?
My analysis is going to go with the trope defense wins championships. And I think that I'm going to go with Seattle 31-20. I think it's going to be a defensive fight the first half. It's going to be close. I think Seattle's going to pull ahead in the second half. I think the same thing is if New England has a great defense and they know how to put pressure, and if Ginger Cuz can stand in the pocket and deliver those passes, I think Seattle's going to pull this out. But it's going to be a close game till that fourth quarter.
Okay. And do we dare even ask? I'm a little bit more curious about your analysis of the game than I am your pick. Junior, how do you see this game playing?
I'm going to say I'm going to agree with Charles that I think it's going to be a defensive battle all the way in that first half. I think that, again, there is no question that there are dogs on both sides of the defense, on the Patriots and on Seattle. I don't know if Seattle has a little bit more experience on that side, but I'm still going to have to roll with New England on this one, of course. But I think that our defense, here's what I'm going to say. I think everything has to be in line for us, and we have to play well. We have to play error-free today in order to win this game, because if we even give Seattle an inch, they're going to take it and run with it. I can tell you that much right now. But I'm going to say that in the second half, teams open it up a bit, and I'm going to say New England 24-20.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a really close game tonight. I really do. I think if both defenses show up the way that they've been showing up all season, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be like Denver last week, where they just kept going back and forth, stopping each other, and nobody was making a move in either direction.
Well, these predictions that you all made in terms of the score is really in alignment with what Vegas is thinking. So this will be interesting to see how it plays out. But appreciate you guys for coming on. Definitely we'll have you back in the future. If you don't know much about the show, we're football focused. So we find ways to talk about football all year long, whether it's college or pro. Certainly we'll cover the other sports, but we're all about football. But we appreciate you guys for coming on. enjoy the game today. Get some good food. Take care of those little ones. All right. And we'll talk to you soon.
Nice to meet you,
Be well.
Junior.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice
Thank
meeting
you,
both of you.
fellas.
Nice
Nice to meet you. Be well, fellas. Enjoy.
All
Be
right.
safe out
Yeah.
here. Take care.
All right, y'all. Man, they nailed a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about over the past few days.
They sure
They worked
did.
your burner in there and everything. So
Wow, that's deep.
yeah, so good discussion with the fellas, man. Yeah, I've known most of them for a while, through work and all of that stuff, and just became friends. So glad they were able to come on. But any
Good knowledge, good personalities. Those seem like some good cats.
yeah, Charles is a walking encyclopedia of sports, bro. If you couldn't tell.
Oh
Like,
man.
but did they peak anything additionally that we had not talked about? I really love what they were saying about the culture. And I know that when we started talking about the coaching carousel, that's really a big part of whether these hires are going to work out, right? I mean, I know that's a big thing for my boys is, how's this culture going to change? And, Q asked a great question. What needs to change for Josh Allen to get over that hump? But I think that culture is huge for New England to be really right back here where they've always been. They only had maybe 2 losing seasons, the Mayo and Belichick's last year, because the year before that, they were a wild card team. So this is not a franchise that has experienced a lot of losing, even in their down seasons. They've kind of been right there. So for them to go from 4-13 back to where we are now is pretty miraculous, even though we kind of, say in jest that they're kind of used to being here. That's a hell of a turnaround for any organization. So that's interesting.
Luck or no luck. The reality is, while I do believe Seattle is going to win, I am curious to see what New England does, in the off season. I want who they get through our free agency. Do you know if they have draft picks this year, or when and how many?
I do
But
not
whatever
know.
they do in the off
draft
season is
picks.
going to be interesting.
Well, let's think about real quick. They signed Diggs as a free agent. They got Mac Hollins as a free agent. So I don't think they traded like draft capital to get the roster. So they should have some picks. Now, certainly what won't benefit them is, being a runner up, because you're going to be picking at the bottom of the draft unless there's some previous transactions that will cost them that. But if they haven't mortgaged away any draft capital, they'll be picking next to last. Well, I think next to last, but they have a chance to pick last. I don't think they're going to win, but they'll be picking in one of the last 2 spots in the draft if they, have nothing else on the table. So that will be impactful, because once you start digging to the bottom of that draft, I mean, I don't know what it is, maybe after the 16th or 17th pick, not that you're not getting a really good player. You're typically not getting a franchise player unless you're lucky.
Right.
So that's the one thing, that even though it's a first round pick, you're getting a player who may or may not be able to contribute in year 1, but most likely won't contribute until year 2 or 3, if at all.
Right. So they have like 11 or 12 picks, and they got at least 1 pick in every round. So
yeah, and they do a good job of not. I mean, as long as I can remember, the way the organization has been run, they've done a good job of not being one of those teams trading away their draft capital. You hear all the time that, these teams should be willing to give up a first and second rounder for this. Well, you have to really think about that, because it's definitely, when you do that, it's a win now. And if that window closes, now you don't have those draft picks.
Right.
And that puts you even further behind the 8 ball.
They can get some offensive linemen. I'm sitting here thinking you have some of these like FCS schools. What was it? Northern, who just won? Oh God, the team's name escapes me. Anyway, they can find some gems that are
you
out there
definitely
with
can
some of
find
those
some
picks, and I think you can definitely find a lot on the offensive line, or maybe definitely the offensive line. I think.
Well, look at the kid, this kid that we were texting about the other night, the Delaware State, the running back who is going to Arizona State next year. We'll keep our eye on him. His name escapes me right now. But, you find a guy like that, they end up being an all-pro for somebody down the road that just got lost in the recruitment. And I know he had, some personal issues that he needed to stay next to home, close to home, family and all that stuff. But a guy like that gets lost in the shuffle, ends up being able to transfer now with the liberal transfer policies. And, next thing you know, he'll end up in the Senior Bowl, I would imagine. The next thing you know, he's somebody's lead running back that we had not heard of. So certainly anything's possible with that. One of the things that we talked about offline after our last show was the impact of Josh McDaniels, because we're giving Vrabel a lot of credit, rightfully so. He deserves all the credit. I loved him as a coach in Tennessee. Wasn't a fan of him as a player at The Ohio State University or at New England. I never liked Vrabel, but I love him as a coach. But we've seen Josh McDaniels be successful with Tom Brady. We've seen him go and be the head coach for teams and not be so successful, right?
Right.
And I think that he's probably one of those guys that's a lifelong coordinator. He's going to have a huge impact on this game. He's probably the most experienced coach out there in this moment. So,
with that experience,
Big Dude, you were about to say something?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, he won the award, and Lord knows I don't know who else it could have been other than McDaniels, just because he seems to just know the state of affairs all the way through the game. And I think that he's somebody that if he wanted to be a head coach could switch right over, because he seems to look at the whole game coaching defense, knowing all of what's going on, how well the offense is playing in order to call his defense today. Is just going to be interesting to see how early he'll play today to take some chances. Will it be conservative? It seems like to me he would even have to try something early. That's be one thing that even surprised me, to find out how good, because certain defensive coordinators, they don't want to get beat long. You don't want to blitz to open things up, but they are going to have to find out just how good Sam Darnold is today. They have to find out how good he really is. And sometimes that comes in the form of you being aggressive and coming after him and bringing full pressure and challenging him, and knowing that he's hurt, testing that oblique. I know, Guru, you mentioned it, that those injuries don't go away, and I try to look into it some more. And I looking where it is, especially if you have they say that it's a penalty for somebody to put their body weight on a quarterback. Sometimes it's not bad to take 15 yards and find out what really the issue is.
Well, I think that what he did was he knows personally what he is good at. And I truly believe he allows his coaches for special teams and offense to do their thing. And so I think he really seems that he took a really good CEO approach to coaching this particular team, analyzing where they were good, where they had needs, bringing in the coaching team around him to try to coach up some of the people who they currently have, as well as, really bring in some additions and really kind of thinking through the type of culture that they want to have there. So I definitely think that because he has such experience, he knows what he's personally good at and what he needs help at. And he got good people to give him that assistance. That's what I think after I'm looking through information on him.
Well, and it makes me think too, if you remember the first Super Bowl Tom Brady played in, I'm going back to the comment you made, Big Dude, about him possibly coming up with a gadget or taking a chance. If you think about that first Super Bowl that Tom Brady was in, pretty conservative type of offense. I mean, they went through the playoffs conservative with the new quarterback in. Now, a little bit of a different comparison because Drake Mays played all year, of course, and he played last year. But they were really safe with Brady and kept them in the game. Now, certainly Josh McDaniels has pulled off gadgets, years after that. I remember a play against the Ravens where I think it was either Edelman or I think it was Edelman that ended up throwing a pass against the Ravens that caught him off guard. So he's not above a gadget. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages Drake May, because I think that one opinion is that Drake May's this megastar already who was a vote shy of MVP, and he's ready to kind of run the show, versus this kid's in his second year and only won 4 games last year, gets sacked a lot, can be turnover prone. How do I find this middle road with him? Because you got to keep Seattle honest. So I agree with you, big dude. You're going to have to take some type of shot, mix something, throw some gadget in there. But how risky are you going to be willing to get with this kid, especially if you take a risk early and it results in a turnover? Now it's in my head after I've already been turning the ball over throughout the playoffs. I've been getting sacked. So at what point is McDaniels gonna let loose or decide to hold back? And I think that's where he is so important in this puzzle, because I think he'll know exactly when he can do it and what he has to do if they just need to play it conservative. Because that defense, as much as I don't respect the defense as being this great defense, they have played better and better each week. I'm sorry, G, go ahead.
I was going to ask, I'm curious and can't really find a whole lot of information on this, but with Leslie Frazier being there, I wonder how is that helping with the culture
for Seattle?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's playing a big role in it. I know Big Dude was the first one to bring that to the table even before we got to our Super Bowl show, because Leslie's kind of got lost in the shuffle after he was, I don't know, pretty much excommunicated from Buffalo, I feel. I mean, very unceremoniously, just because of an agreement with McDermott and the philosophy there. I think there's going to be a huge, huge factor in this game. And I think that that's where, if we look at this experience that Vrabel has versus McDonald, I think McDonald's got the staff to fill in those gaps. I mean, Leslie Frazier's seen it all from both sides. And, all I think about, I was watching the Seattle Super Bowl where they dominated Denver, and I was like, man, I could totally see this game going this way. I mean, I could totally see it, because when I thought about Demaryius Thomas was on that Denver Super Bowl, or that Denver team that participated in the Super Bowl, and he was no slouch. And they kept him in check. Again, that was the Legion of Boom, I know. And I don't know if this defense, I think this defense can get to that level. They're not there yet. But
not yet, but they're trending.
Defense. I think it's a different defense, right? They had, I think on the back end, the line, in the middle and the back end, I think the Legion of Boom was their bread and butter. This team, I think it's the front. It's that interior. It's those linemen that are the bread and butter, and then on the back end, they're good, but that's not the main piece of the puzzle. But man, I'm getting excited about this game as we get close to it now, man. Have you guys heard that they're saying this doesn't feel like Super Bowl week? Like a lot of celebrities go there for the festivities, saying it's kind of dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I want to see more. I think
it's the Hall of Fame that's dampening it.
Well, and I wonder, I mean, I've never been to San Francisco before. I mean, compared to some of the locations, I would think San Francisco would be a fun city to have a Super Bowl in.
I would think so too. I mean,
it's not right there, I guess. It's just that the vibe is different out there. I mean, people, I guess it's not, I mean, and my brother, and hopefully we'll get him on one day that played near Ron. He said it was nice out there. He said there's a part of it, but it's like paradise. But then there's another part of it that's like no big deal. He was trying to explain to me. I still don't quite know exactly what he meant by that, because you'll see just about.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying you see just about anybody out there that you know that's out there from somewhere. They like to go there, but it just seems like the vibe is not. It doesn't have the same edge as a big metropolis. Big metropolis,
And the game is in Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not probably a hotbed of action. And I think California is just different as a state in terms of how it's set up, because something might be saying, oh, they're in LA, but then it could kind of be in Inglewood or someplace out. So you're not necessarily in LA city limits, which can make it difficult. And I know the times that I've been out there, you have to have transportation, but you're also going to sit in traffic forever to get anywhere. So I'm wondering, again, not having been to that part of California, if that's impacting what people are saying. But yeah, it's beautiful. Everything's looking beautiful. Real nice weather setting. This is going to be a good game, man. It's going to be a
I
good
was just
game.
looking to kind of see like what's been showing up, in the news, maybe some of the reasons that it could be more muted. And there's discussions about Bad Bunny, and so there's that political cultural piece that's happening. And it is California, when you add that political cultural piece in there, so that could be impacting it. There could be some other entertainment issues. There's an All American halftime show. Y'all heard about that?
Yeah, what's the deal
It's
with that?
actually
Do you know
going to
any
go
details
hard,
about that?
huh?
You know any details about that? Like, where is that? What channel is that going to be on?
I have no idea. I did see one time that there were several people that were pulling out, but I think Kid Rock is being featured. But nevertheless, I think that some of that is also impacting. So a lot of the people who may have gone or would have gone to an NFL, week activities and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. It could be some political stuff that's happening here,
Mm-hmm.
which is that's interesting.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
just reduced media hype is what I'm seeing, and something about a nostalgic matchup, and I don't know what that means.
So, has anybody changed their pick?
Nope, I haven't anyway.
No.
So, if you guys just want to rehash your picks for those who didn't join us for the Thursday show, start with you, big dude. What was your pick? And if you remember your score, if you want to go score again.
Mm-hmm. Again, my pick is Seattle. I really thought that Seattle is going to control the game for most of the game. I would say that the Patriots will play with Seattle as best they can. And the score I picked for Seattle to win was 31-17, holding charge most of the game, with Seattle scoring a late touchdown. Now, that's where I left it at in our last show.
Got you. And G, what was yours?
Yeah, because I truly believe New England is here because, figuratively speaking, the ball just bounced their way, particularly during the divisional race and then in the championship. I truly believe Seattle is going to put up 35 points on them, and I don't think New England is going to score that much. So I still think they may get 10 points out of this one.
Yeah, and we were all kind of right there. I have Seattle 34-13. I don't think it's going to be close. It could possibly still be a game at halftime, depending on how fast of a start Seattle gets out to. But I wouldn't be surprised when we come back here for the halftime analysis that the game is done. I hope not, because I would like to see an exciting game. But let's talk about real briefly, just kind of take us off our track here a little bit before we get into our last half hour. G, you brought up a good point that has been consistent in what we've talked about really since the end of the season when we launched, is this path that New England has taken to this game. And we'll talk about both teams, but specifically New England. Luck definitely involved in their schedule. Their schedule really concerns you. And I mean, they had I don't know what place they had a last place type of schedule, essentially. And I think for me all year, objectively, even though certainly a rival to my boys, objectively, and I kept my eye on them, especially after they were I think they lost their first game, but then they were 5-1 or 6-1 or whatever. So I started watching them. And I just was never really blown away by them. Even when they beat my boys in the first game on Sunday night, we still could have won the game. Like, we didn't get blown away by them. I feel like we lost because we didn't play well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like they did anything that was so, and I think that reared its face when we played them there the second time.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that the national media is diminishing, this backup quarterback in the championship game, a quarterback that lost his ish in the divisional round, a banged up team in the wild card? You play the Jets in Miami. That's 4 games in your division. Will we see all of this come to a head today? Like, is there any way that they could possibly?
Well, yeah, that's exactly. I do believe that, particularly Chargers and Denver, particularly that, I think that is being downplayed. Anything else? For me, the Houston game, I just have to look at that as Stroud just losing his psychological strength, and that was taken away from him by New England. So I'm just kind of chalk that one up to New England did what they needed to do, and he couldn't respond. But the other 2 games, no, that was just flat out luck, and I do believe that that's being downplayed. I even believe that the spread is downplaying it because it's still pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they're downplaying it. Now, obviously, I could be wrong. I do believe New England is a good team, though. So I'm not saying that they're not a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But are they a team that should be in the Super Bowl and should win it? No.
Yeah. What about you? Any comments on that from the New England side of things, big dude?
I think New England, and like I said, despite all those other things, they're a very good team. But excuse me, and I think that that the NFC is just so much stronger. I mean, even if they had a little bit better schedule, I mean, to me, and hopefully I'll be saying this at the end, I just think that the last game that Seattle played, they played the Rams, it was almost like that was a de facto Super Bowl, that game right there. Whoever won that particular game, because I think the disadvantages would have been not quite as heavy as Seattle, but I think the Rams were playing very well. And I think what from New England's side, they won the tough game that they had to, and it worked. And it worked under certain circumstances. And I don't know you have to be a little lucky to get to the Super Bowl in some ways when you look at, I think, Guru, you were talking about fumbles lost. Some people don't lose. Some people fumble and don't lose fumbles. And sometimes it's that close. And I think with New England, it's been that close. But I think their quarterback, they rode this 23-year-old guy's shoulders. And I think this game is designed for him to make plays, but it's not designed for New England to ride his shoulders along with the defense. I think it takes more than that to beat Seattle. So saying that, I think New England will start off because of the coaching they have. They have outstanding coaching. But the question will be, especially with that rookie left side of the line. I mean, both rookies playing on that left side of the line, not that they can't play well. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep everything up for the full game. Forget that there's 80,000 people out there. Forget that there's all these millions of people watching, and being able to keep their poise. So I think they got the right coach in there. The question is it enough? And I don't see it as being enough, and I'm not so sure that they can get there with what they have.
Well, in the flip side of the house is Seattle, who, I mean, man, they had a murderer's row just to get out of their division. And if we were to match up their division against New England, they're not beating the Rams. Right. I don't think if the Rams were here, I don't think they beat the Rams. They probably could beat San Francisco. I wouldn't bet everything on it. I wouldn't push all my chips to the middle of the table.
I don't know about that, bro.
But I think that they could probably, I think they're tougher than San Francisco. And don't forget, San Francisco also had a lot of injuries as well in some key spots. Two of their best defensive guys were out. So, Bosa and Warner, I believe, right? So that could have been in New England's favor. But looking at Seattle having gone through these wars, I mean, you play these teams. I mean, the Rams games were epic this year. The San Francisco games were good. They're battle tested. The one thing we know about this team is they're battle tested. And I guess it really comes down for them, looking at the juggernaut that they've gone through, can they maintain that level of intensity? Because New England will be ready to play. You best believe that. And if they don't come with it, New England will be hoisting another trophy. Rest assured. New England is not the thing that even scares me about New England in this game is, let's say Seattle jumped out to a big lead. New England is not going to quit. And all I think about is that 28-3. I mean, it's not Tom Brady, but no Mike Vrabel coach team is going to quit. So they got to come for 4 quarters. But do you think Seattle's at an advantage for having such a tough schedule that, when this game gets tough, because at some point it will, even though, my ultimate prediction is not a close game, but I think, at least in the beginning, I think it'll be back and forth. Will that prepare them a little bit more for this? Are they ready for this, in your opinions?
I mean, yes. The top line answer is yes. They're definitely ready. But what San Francisco showed is that they can be beat. So I said this previously, if New England,
Seattle,
huh?
Me Seattle.
Yeah. Well, you were asking about Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So so if New England, I said this before, and I still say it again. If New England looks at how San Francisco beat Seattle, then I totally believe that it'll at least be close. But they're going to have to be willing to really, really blitz. They're going to have to be willing to do that and hope that Seattle doesn't make them pay. And this is part of the reason why I do think New England can still make them pay. It's because they have some speedsters, some route runners around them, some running backs who can actually catch. So yes, I think New England is definitely capable of making it a game, but I just think Seattle, they have the experience and they have the tools, they have the coaching.
Yeah. As I listen to you speak, I just had this fear in my head of Sam Darnold getting a little rattled early and not being able to recover from it. I don't know why that's so in the back of my mind. Big dude, your thoughts on that?
He wasn't able to recover.
Maybe because a wild child is my quarterback, and that type of stuff is always in the back of my mind. I don't know. What you got, big dude?
Well, I think Seattle, a few things. I think that they're going to take care of the football. Again, not that New England doesn't, but I mean, from what I saw and from what I mean, number one, no turnovers during the playoffs at all by Sam Darnold. There's no interceptions, no fumbles lost. So I think that Darnold is ready for this game, and I think his approach will be different, and it'll be a little bit more than what the coaches say. I think he may know a little bit more of what is needed. And also, when you start talking about, we talked about special teams. You had asked me about special teams with Shaheed, and you talked about him being in different places. I just think there's more X factors. including their field goal kicker, who's kicked 41 field goals this year. That's quite a few field goals.
That
You
is.
know, yeah. So I say that, you know, Seattle is a team that has the X factors with special teams. They have the quarterback that's stable, and they also have, like I said before, the other X factor is A.J. Barner. I think what goes on that red zone is going to be important, and I think I wanted to bring up before that Seattle will be the team. I don't think that will even think about going forward on fourth down. They will, and I think a lot of discussion we had before was about fourth down at one of the other shows and who should have gone forward. The whole culture of the NFL, especially in the last 10 years, has changed. This past season, of all the 32 teams involved, the NFL teams went forward on fourth down 886 times.
Yeah,
now,
it's becoming common.
Yes, it's up 75% from 2015. So people are thinking differently, but I think now we know about what the chances are. And again, all this other gen stat stuff and all those other things that come out, it really doesn't talk about the most recent performance and what that will mean. If a team has 0 turnovers, maybe we look at it. But if you look at the Patriots in their playoffs, and wasn't anything bad in 3 games, 3 picks and 2 fumbles lost. We know that the potential is for the Patriots not to be able to take care of the balls, especially the balls, especially when you have linebackers like Drake Thomas and Ernest Jones, the fourth. You know, those guys, they punch that ball out of there. And, of course, Lawrence at defensive end. So not being able to have to blitz, I think, is going to be the key today to New England with Will Campbell. And we've mentioned that it's the left side. And Will Campbell will probably play a good game. A good game against DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to be good enough. You have to play fabulous. And he has to be able to block Lawrence with no help today. I think that's what you're going to need to do. I think Moses on the right side can do it. The left side is difficult because it's the quarterback's blind side. You have to be athletic, mean, have lean, and all those other types of things. I think this is also a chance, and I know this is something different. You know, when we talked about offensive linemen not being part of, the discussion ever on MVP today, I think that as long as we're putting all this stuff out about next gen and all these other statistics, and now I think I read about win rate and how many pressures that you give up. There's all these other things now because of physics and all these other things that people include. Now, how fast people run and all that is in there, but when we start talking about the force of things, who wins the most at the line of scrimmage, especially inside the 20-yard line, that somebody is going to win and they're going to be able to make it from the 20 or get on fourth down and find out what that win rate was on that, I think is a chance to take a look at that today, because I think that's where the difference will be today. On the edge and the win rate between the red zone and on fourth down.
Well, yeah, that's what we didn't talk about much, was analyzing red zone play.
Yeah. What are we thinking? You guys have any history on how these teams are in the red zone? Because I didn't come across anything on those particular statistics.
Yeah, I don't have anything. So,
No, but they can't settle for field goals. You know, that's just it. If New England is going to win, that's what's different about this game too. If they kick 3 field goals in the first half, I don't think it's going to bode well for them. You need 3 touchdowns. And New England, in order to have a chance, must be ahead by 10 points at halftime. You know, if they have a chance, they have to be up by 10 points in the first half.
Interesting. So we're about 45 minutes from kickoff now, and many of these players have not played in a game of this magnitude. I think there are maybe 7 to 9 players who've played in the national championship game in college. 7 Bama players, by the way, in this game, if anybody's interested. That would be the closest thing they've had to this level, this stage, right? And I'm not saying that the two are the same, but I would imagine there are some similar emotions. Big dude, you played in the national championship game. In fact, the first officially recognized national championship game that wasn't a vote, that was settled on the field at Penn State. What was happening in your locker room 45 minutes before this game? What was the vibe? What are Vrabel and McDonald telling their players right now? What's going on in those locker rooms as they get ready to head out here in 45 minutes?
Well, just reflecting some, and I know we need to talk about today's game, but and being in that locker room and understanding that no one can win without another person on the team. That was most of the discussion. And finding out, and understanding, one of the things that Joe talked about is it's going to be a difficult game. We know how good Miami is. He said, and we're going to play hard and we're going to play tough. But you know what? Regardless of how well you do, and I'm not going to imitate him. My daughter says my imitations are bad. So I'll be careful with that. He said, regardless of how well you do, sometimes you're going to get licked. You're going to get licked today. Somebody's going to run past you on pass protection. Somebody's going to put you on your back on offense. Somebody's going to run by you. Understand that's part of the game and understand that it's a long football game. That's all he kept saying. Now, Miami was the top offense for the whole year. There was nobody other than Michael Irvin and Brian Blades and Lord knows who, Melvin Bratton and Vinny Testaverde, of course, and their great offensive line. But what they knew was in Testaverde, with all the yards and all the records that he broke that year, catch him, knock the crap out of him. Catch him, knock the crap out of him again. Find a way to take the game from them over time. And that's kind of what happened. So in this particular game, however they play it, there's no way that anybody is going to be able to be totally shut down. There will be explosive plays today. People will get beat. People will get tired. And you don't have anything left. And actually, the biggest speech came after Joe left. After every discussion from Joe, the most intense discussion, as you all can imagine and know, is from when the players talk. And, of course, I can't repeat everything that people were trying to say, but I remember Tim Johnson saying, when you don't have anything left and we need a play, and he was one of the people that was in the play, just look at the man next to you and find a way to get there. So today, and that's not just for one key play. Today, you have to do that together. You have to do that in unison. And other folks that are going to be a surprise today are the ones that forget that there's 80,000 people out there and that goes out there and does exactly what they have to do. So if I'm on New England side, I'm saying I don't care how good JSN is. Let him have the ball and let's give it to him. Let him have the ball and let's give it to him, And on Seattle side, it'll be almost the same way. Let's find out how good this guy is. Let's find out how good this young tackle is. Let's find out how good their running backs are. I don't care if they use 1, 2, 3 running backs. We got to make sure that every play till the end is what we're going to play. And that's kind of how it was. Our game came all the way, as you saw, to the end. I think in this game, though, they have a chance to get somewhere. New England has to go up there. But what's going on in the locker room is how do we come out the gate through all these other things and all this other pageantry? How do we get from the pageantry, I think, to the game? That's the next part. We got a game going on.
Okay, G, for New England, what can't happen for me to win? This cannot happen for me to win?
I will say, hold up, for New England to win, what can't happen?
Yes, but this cannot happen to us if we're going to win this game.
So we're gonna win this game. Our blitz cannot be stopped. They can't shut down their defensive line, basically, that front seven.
Okay.
If you make them have to stay home, or particularly if you make it where the linebackers have to stay home and they're only rushing 3 or 4, that's not going to get it.
All right. Same thing to you, big dude. We're New England. This cannot happen to us if we're going to win this game.
Well, we could not get stuffed on the line of scrimmage on offense. If we get stuffed and we can't make any plays, we're not going to be able to. And the plays being made are the ones that people aren't counting. You know, all those other things happen on the back end. I think they're the ones on the front end that have to get some movement with these guys on Seattle. You have to move them off the football. And I think on defense against Seattle, they can't really guess. There's a difference between, because here's what some people do in the Super Bowl. That's why it becomes a blowout. Because for the first quarter and part of the second quarter, people guess instead of playing. Don't guess, just play. Don't guess, just play.
My response, we cannot let Drake May be under pressure consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for Seattle. Back at you. Go with you first, big dude. We're Seattle. We're going to win this game. We cannot what?
On the other side, we must win the battle up front on the offensive line against their outstanding defensive line that we keep hearing about. We can't let Milton Williams get penetration. We have to get a piece of those linebackers and get to the second level. We can't let the linebackers with their blitz. G mentioned the blitz can't be stopped. We've got to control the line of scrimmage so it's not an issue. We're on the second level and gone. You know, that doesn't mean we need a big play. You know, the other thing that Paterno used to say is 4-5, 4-5, and then boom. So then the last part is with Seattle is make sure that we're patient with the passing game. You know, you don't need big plays all the time. It will reveal itself. And we cannot fumble or turn over on special teams. We must be the people that has done all what they can with special teams.
All right. Same thing back at you, G. This can't happen.
You can't let Drake May run. Because if you let him run, then you give him more opportunities to take shots and to throw. And what we want him to do, well, if you decrease his throwing if his running is well. So if you decrease that run and you force him to throw, you're in good shape.
Got you. For me, can't turn the ball over. Real simple. Can't turn it over.
Yeah. Very simple.
Any last points of emphasis, a player you want to throw out there before we shut it down for the start of the game, come back at halftime? I'll start first. I'm changing my MVP pick. I had Witherspoon, the DB. I'm going Rashid Shaheed as the MVP. That's all I got for you. Big dude, any last minute thing?
Let's see.
It doesn't have to be changed. It doesn't have to be MVP, just whatever you have.
Well, I will say that the biggest impact will be the run game on both teams. Everyone has devalued the run game in the league. The run game for both teams will dictate the football game.
All right. And we'll wrap this pregame up with you, G.
I have nothing to add.
What? That's
Yes,
impossible. That's impossible.
nothing to add this time.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap our pregame. I hope you all enjoyed our first shot at this, our first live stream for Chasing Rings. So we had fun. Thanks again to our guests. And for those of you that decided to join the stream, appreciate you. We will be back at halftime. Don't forget, we are coming back at halftime to break down the first half. We will come back again to analyze the whole game. We will have a post game. We go as long as we can with the post game. So enjoy the game. Come back and join us at halftime. And we will see you later.